Hi, I'm Jessica Stokes-Parish and I'm here to talk to you about my work in moulage. You're probably wondering, what is moulage? Moulage is a French word which translates to mould. In the 16th century, moulds were created with wax to simulate illnesses and effects. Today, the word moulage is used to describe special effects makeup techniques in simulation. For a comprehensive look at moulage, you can read the commentary and systematic review that I've previously published. The aim of this study was to understand how the authenticity of moulage contributed to engagement in simulation. As a part of this, I conducted a pilot randomised comparison study to determine whether authentic moulage makes a difference in simulation. This particular study was made possible by the generous funding of the Society for Simulation in Healthcare and the University of Newcastle. Ethics was granted by the University of Newcastle Ethics Board. We used a mixed methods approach, including stimulated recall interviews, eye tracking technology, self-reported engagement, and the immersion scale reporting instrument, and some clinical measures like time to treat and treatment actions. The setting was a simulated emergency department with all the necessary equipment for an ED. A Laerdal SimMan 3G was used to simulate the trauma of a male involved in a mountain bike accident. Participants were randomised to one of three groups: control, low authenticity or high authenticity. 33 undergraduate medical students in Year 4 or 5 of the medical program participated in the study. Each participant participated in the sim for roughly 5 minutes, after which they completed the authenticity and engagement surveys. They were then interviewed with the eye tracking video as the recall prompt. You can read the full description of the study on a publication in Advances in Simulation. In terms of statistical analysis, I utilised SPSS for all statistical comparisons. I used a one-way ANOVA to compare groups and used further post hoc tests where appropriate. There were no differences in the results of the immersion score instrument, but there were statistically significant different results between groups on self-reported engagement, treatment actions, time to treat, and eye tracking measures. The interviews generated 4 major themes that impacted on engagement in simulation. Of note, the high authenticity group were more likely to complete neuro observations, while the low authenticity group were more likely to complete abdominal palpation. In the time to treat data, there was mixed results. The high authenticity group took longest to call for help and order IV fluids, while the low authenticity group completed both of these actions the quickest. In self-reporting of engagement, the high authenticity group rated realism the highest. And in the eye tracking data, the high authenticity group had more focused patterns of looking and observation and looked more frequently at the injury sites compared to the other two groups. What was most interesting to me was the interview data, where participants described feeling that when there was little or no moulage, they were reminded of the awareness that this wasn't real. They also commented that they missed or ignored cues, dismissing ones they deemed unimportant if delivered verbally or in the low authenticity group. So what does this mean? Well, I guess there's a lot to unpack here, but we're beginning to get an insight of how moulage does or doesn't contribute to engagement in a simulation. Within this context, the use of authentic moulage may provide more consistent or reliable patterns of engagement. Of course, as with all research, there are limitations. It's a small study. There was only a single rater for the ISRI scores and the interview analysis. More research is needed in a variety of other settings, for example, other professions and specialty areas. It would be particularly interesting to see the impact of moulage with simulated patients as opposed to mannequins. However, we can confidently say that authentic moulage has a positive effect on the simulation experience for undergraduate medical students and aids the perception of suspending disbelief. Thanks for taking the time to listen to this abstract. I'd like to thank ANSIPI for accepting the paper, and if you'd like any more information about moulage in simulation, please feel free to contact me at jstokesp@bond.edu.au.